And I think there's probably maybe two more questions I'd like to ask, but you mentioned that there was a young fella that you've got, a friend of yours you've known perhaps over the last year in Gaza. Now he's Palestinian, or he's an Arab, and he's got the Shema, tattooed on his arm. Now you mentioned when he goes and he talks to soldiers, or he makes himself as conspicuous as possible, and he gets involved in these areas. That every so often the soldier, I think maybe if it happens all the time, I don't know, but the soldier breaks down and cries because he realised that this guy is actually, I guess more or less a friend or a believer. Is that indicative of, like, why is this soldier breaking down and crying? Is that indicative of the divide between, like, perhaps you maybe could say emotional, or in terms of distance, geographical, they're right next to each other, right. But it seems emotionally, perhaps spiritually, ideologically, mostly, there is a vast divide. Is that true?
I think a lot of it is emotional, because even if Israeli children are not raised in their schools to hate Arabs, the overall atmosphere gives the feeling that, even if we don't hate them, even those who don't hate them, unfortunately, those guys are all our enemies. They all probably want to kill me, or I don't know which ones want to kill me, so I got to be suspicious of them all. And so a young Israeli soldier, and we're talking about guys who are only 18, 19 years old, will have all of these emotions pretty strongly. And so when they come across the average Arab youth who they know have been raised to hate Jews and want to kill Jews, they're going to come at it, with their shields up. They're not going to be open. So when this guy then kind of opens up to them with his heart open and approaching in this way, it breaks down that barrier immediately, and sometimes that emotional shift, I imagine, can bring a person to tears.
All right.